So today we're going to get into market research. How do we find a cash flowing legal market? So I'm going to go through the numbers, what I look for in certain markets that kind of gives us an opportunity to provide value to the owners, which ultimately gives us the chance to get our business model accepted by the apartment buildings, as well as negotiate with them, getting rent concessions and low deposit. That's ultimately what I'm striving for, and finding the right kind of markets for that environment is crucial. And then acquisitions actually becomes much easier. So I'll go through how I find a market really quickly. So we're going to talk about how we gain leverage, focusing on vacancy, what types of properties that I only go for. I have a very specific approach. And then how do I approach the building, and how much time does that take from my day? And then ultimately how I negotiate the proper terms with them. I'm going to screen share with you guys right now and just kind of reiterate my strategy. This is the 4-step process that I've kind of honed. It used to be 6 steps, and then I brought it down to 4 steps a couple of years ago. Step 1 is choosing your market. You can do this remotely. In fact, I actually prefer this to be done remotely. There's no reason why you need to do this in your local market. You know, the local market approach for short-term rentals is really for people who access their properties and own them. That's what most people do. They have like a second house or a condo or something like that, and they're trying to supercharge their cash flow. And so their go-to is to manage it themselves. And so for that reason, a lot of people think they need to do this locally. 90% of this work is done remotely. Our VAs, our virtual assistants, do 90% of the work. It's mostly communication, right? So they're scheduling housekeepers, communicating with housekeepers during turnovers. They're answering inquiries 24/7, and they're communicating with our current guests. That's 90% of the job. And then the 10% of the time that someone needs to be on site, that's our housekeeper. And so our housekeepers do way more than cleaning. They're doing inventory and supplies and all kinds of stuff on site. They're even doing a little bit of maintenance, changing batteries and things like that. And so in the light maintenance realm, that's what they do. And the off chance that something needs to be fixed, something breaks in the unit, an appliance or something like that, well, we're renting. So we put a ticket in and the building does it. It's as simple as that. And then in the off chance something of ours breaks, or we need to touch up paint or something like that, yes, we have someone that goes to the property and does that on our team. And so this can be done remotely. There are tools out there in my AirDNA that we can spot the very best markets in the country. So if you have to sacrifice performance, what's the real benefit of doing this locally? Most people do it locally because they haven't figured out the automations part of this business, it took me a year and a half to figure out. So step 1 is choosing your market. I focus on Class B apartments only, not houses, single family. I'm in an Airbnb right now. I'm on winter break with my kids. I stay at this Airbnb every year. It's a beautiful house. And a year ago, I was walking around and I realized if I rented this house, it would be prohibitively expensive. The backyard is amazing. It's got a game room in the garage. There's hallways and staircases and all kinds of places that you'd have to furnish. So the cost would be prohibitively expensive. I don't believe in the single family home rental arbitrage model. I do believe in it if you own it. It's a different beast. So when you're owning the property, cash flow isn't what you're looking for. When you own a property, you're looking for your tenant to pay down your debt. You're looking for tax benefits, amortization, and potential wealth. Cash flow is at the bottom of the list. It is for me and most owners that I know that own their property. On the other hand, rental arbitrage is about your return on your investment, the velocity in which you're paid back, and cash flow. And for that reason, the apartment model is where it's at. I'll give you a quick analogy. I talk about this one all the time. So it's just like owners of hotels. Most of the time, at least at the very top of the hotel business, there's an owner, an entity out there, or an individual who owns the property and the grounds, and they lease it, master lease it for decades to a hotel brand. I live in San Diego, in downtown San Diego, the Marriott Hotel, beautiful property, have a great marina, one of the best, and a guy named Doug Manchester owns it all. And for the last 30 years, he's leased it to the Marriott Hotel. The Marriott is the hospitality player. They know about turnovers. They know about hospitality, and they have a deal with Doug, and Doug is, getting all the benefits of ownership. So they have a perfect relationship, and it's a mutual benefit. And in business, you need a mutual benefit. If one side is the winner in the deal, it's not a good deal. Your deal will reflect that. That's why in the apartment model, it's perfect for that. It's just like the hotel analogy I just gave you. And so we're looking for apartment buildings that are having a little bit of pain. Perhaps there's some occupancy issues in an otherwise very strong short-term rental market. So I look for the apartments. Class B are basically just nice apartments in great neighborhoods, but they're just not as new. And so, in proportional to their rent, they're the best cash flowers. Class A apartments look nice and they do well on Airbnb, but their rents are so high oftentimes, they're not able to 2x rent. So therein lies the specifics of my formula. I want to earn at least twice as much as what my rent is going to be, right? So if I'm paying $2,000 for rent, I want to see historical data, at least the last 24 months, the last 2 years, that I'm going to make $4,000. So, half of that, $2,000 is going to go to rent. And then the difference minus my 20% overhead, utilities and software and staff, 20%. So the difference is mine, $1,500 for a 2-bedroom and $1,250 for a 1-bedroom. And I only do 1 or 2 bedrooms. I have 1 3-bedroom apartment in the 60 units we have. But that's the formula. Class B apartments, 2x rent. And I'm in markets that are work, business, and travel. Again, apartment model works for this. If you're in a single family home model like this, I'm in Palm Springs. You think this place does well in the summer? No, it's probably empty. And so, the ownership models where they're carrying forward profit from lost months, we do not want that. We want every single month. You think the hotel model is about that? No. The hotel model is all about year round. They focus on business travel and leisure travel. We get to focus also on work travel. Traveling nurses, engineers, teachers. So we have people coming to work for months at a time. So I focus on markets that are work, business, and leisure, where we can 2x rent and where we can find Class B apartments. So that's basically how I choose a market.